Welcome to our pre-departure discussion for your upcoming Alaska adventure trip. Your dates of travel are July the 26th through August the 6th, and that's quickly approaching. We'd like to go over a few things today that hopefully will answer some of the questions that you have. This tour is being operated in partnership with Princess Cruises. Regularly, Princess receives many awards, and uh, some of those are included would be the Alaska #1 cruise line for not only their ships, but the entertainment, itinerary, and the food that you'll receive on board as well. Your hostess throughout your experience is going to be Mary Rickey, one of our team members who's been with us for quite a while. Mary has had the privilege of hosting trips for us to Europe and to a lot of different U.S. destinations recently, having just returned from South Dakota. Mary's going to be present to answer questions for you throughout the trip. So if you have any questions or concerns, be sure and visit with her so that she can work on that and get answers for you. It doesn't do any good to wait until the trip is over and then wish that you had asked something. The time to do it is at the time. Included in your Please Go Away Vacations Alaska adventure are several bonus features. First of all, included shore excursions in each port. You have received your documents by now, or if not, they should be there any day. There is a summary that's included in that will give information as to the times and schedule for each of those so that you can plan accordingly. When you are with Mary, she's going to bring some complimentary walking tours of each of the ports that you'll be visiting that has been put together by Please Go Away Vacations. The included shore excursions are, for the most part of the day, which leaves some time to explore each part on your own, and sometimes a walking map that can kind of guide you around the area, or if you go by something, you can look at a little bit of history, because several of the places that you'll be visiting once you're on the boat were rich in gold rush history. So you want to be sure that you get to see some of those and experience the Red Onion Saloon and the Red Dog Saloon and some of the areas that are very popular. In the information that you received, you would have gotten this travel summary, and we have used one from a previous cruise, but it's very similar, and I'm going to just point out a few things for you. First of all, you're going to notice that it says vacation protection not purchased. The reason for that is it was not purchased through Princess Cruises. We have found that a third-party insurance, which you should have also received your confirmation of benefits with Travel Insured, has higher coverage limits than the majority of travel companies' insurances, so that you do have that and you have proof that you have insurance. So don't be concerned that you don't have any. Second of all, you're going to notice that your cabin number's on there, your booking number, which we have actually sent to you previously. All that kind of important information is on there as well. As you go through, you're going to see, I think usually it's on page 2 and 3, you're going to see the electronic airline ticket for your flights. And do be aware that if that changes, we will let you know, because there have been a lot of schedule changes. Would not be surprised with the airline's challenges if there were not additional ones before you go. So be sure and watch for updates on your email to be sure that you do get any of those that come through. Another thing that I want to point out is that toward the back, you're going to see a listing of gratuities. You're going to see drink card and several things of that nature that actually have a price on there. Now, that is not indicating that you are going to be charged for those or that you have been charged for those, that is part of the package that you purchased. It's just simply giving you a value of what that is had you had to purchase that once you got on board. Again, if you have any questions about that, please do give us a call. You also received some cruise tags that will be similar to this. It's laminated, and then there is a plastic loop that you will use to affix that to your luggage. The purpose of this tag is to get your large luggage to your cabin once you go to board the boat. So be sure that you take this with you. It's certainly sturdy enough that you could attach that when you leave home. It has your sailing date and your cabin number, the ship that you're going to be on, and information for the cruise line to easily get that to your cabin. There is also a little card that will assist you should you have any trouble in figuring out how to attach that to your luggage. You also received some green stickers that appear like this. If you want to put your name on it or name and address, that's fine. The basic principle of this one is the bright color is going to make that luggage stand out. So anytime that luggage needs to be claimed, it will be easily spotted. You can tell when you're in a group of luggage that it's yours by the bright green sticker. Particularly outbound, when you get to Fairbanks, you're going to need to claim luggage. You'll be given a sticker by the Princess Representative, or I beg your pardon, a tag by the Princess Representative that will indicate where the next stop is on your journey that you will attach to your bag right then before returning that suitcase over to a Princess Representative to handle it to get to the first hotel. So be sure when you leave home that you have bright green stickers on that large piece of luggage. Again, when you get off of the boat, so if during the trip at some point these come off, and they sometimes do, Mary will have extras, so be sure that you ask her for another one. When you get off of the boat, you're going to go into a terminal. Luggage is sorted by a colored tag that you'll be given on board, and Mary will go over all of that with you. But be sure that you have this on because there's going to be thousands of pieces of luggage in the terminal. Even when it's narrowed down to your disembarkation code, there's still lots of pieces of luggage that all look alike, and it will certainly facilitate that part of the process if you have a green sticker. In addition, you were sent some extras, so if you want to put those onto carry-on bags, some people put them on purses, perhaps on camera bags, anything else that you're carrying that you want to put them on. It helps if you leave it set. Someone will call attention to it that's in our group when they see the bright green sticker. And if you happen to see one that's unattended, you want to be sure that you bring it to someone's attention to keep it from being lost. This is the proper way to put them on. The back peels off, and then the ends will stick to themselves around the handle. Please do not peel the back off and put it flat on the sides of luggage, because if the luggage is laying on its side and it's on the bottom, it will not be seen. So this is the proper way. One of the big questions that we always get asked is about luggage and how big is luggage and how much can they take. So the size of your large piece of luggage, that's a requirement by the airline. It cannot exceed 62 inches. And the way that you get the 62 inches is the height, the length, and the width. Each of those added one time cannot, again, be over 62 inches. As important is it cannot exceed 50 pounds. So if your suitcase is bigger than 62 inches, weighs over 50 pounds, in addition to the regular fees that the airline will charge you when you check in both directions, you will be charged an overweight or oversized fee. I have traveled with people who were about 6 ounces over the 50 pounds, and they had to pay almost $100 extra to check their bag. So it's a good idea for you to be aware when you're packing things and watching that weight. While we're looking at the large suitcase, I might also mention that if you're purchasing Ulus or something that has a sharp edge, when you get ready to come home, be sure that you put that in your checked luggage and do not put those in your carry-on because it is a weapon and the airlines will take that when you go through TSA. They will not allow you to carry a Ulu on, and that kind of makes a nice gift, so people often buy those. You're going to receive a name tag. You will get that at the airport. Those of you that are flying from Wichita, if you're flying from one of the other gateways, Mary will give that to you when she meets you when everyone is in Fairbanks. We do ask that, first of all, if you have that and you're departing from Wichita, please wear that so that you're identified as part of the group throughout the flight. And anytime you're doing things as a group, please do put those on. It helps to identify who's in the group. A good example is on the second night in Fairbanks, you'll all be going to the salmon bake, which is one of the features included. And that's how, when Mary checks you in that you're there, that's how they're going to identify who is part of the group. So if you get there and you don't have your name tag on, the salmon bake people may pull you aside and ask you to pay because it will not identify that you're with the group. So that's very important at many times. Also important is the 3-1-1 rule. Each person is allowed a 1-quart bag of liquids and gels that are in 3-ounce or smaller containers. It's not that you cannot take liquids or gels in larger containers, but if you do, they must be in your checked bag and not in your carry-on. So each person, 3 ounces or less in a 1-quart bag. Additional items or larger must go into the bag that you cannot access until you land. And it's the size of the container and not what you think is remaining in, for example, the tube of toothpaste. It's the size. So again, TSA will take that if you exceed that rule. Some of the important things that we need to talk about are going to be temperatures, and temperatures can be very unpredictable. Probably you're going to want to take clothing that you would wear in the spring or fall. I have been in Fairbanks a time or two over the years that the temperatures were up in the mid-90s, so very summery. So layers are always really good so that if you do have a day that it gets way above normal, you can remove some layers and still keep a level of comfort. It can also be cool, and if there's a rainy day, even cooler. And of course, rain gear, shoes that are comfortable, walking shoes are always good as opposed to sandals and flip-flops and things of that nature. Travel in Alaska for the time that you're on land and on the boat in the daytime is going to be very casual. You're going to probably want jeans, sweatshirts, jackets, things of that nature. Of an evening, there are some requirements for the dining room. First of all, there will be 2 nights that are formal, and by formal, men are not allowed in like a short sleeve dress shirt. I've seen men go in just with a dress shirt, long sleeves, and a tie if you don't have a sport coat or a suit. Truthfully, you may want at least a sport coat just for the warmth because it can be cool on board the ship in the public areas with so many people. They do keep the temperatures a little cooler probably than many places just because of the number of people. So do keep that in mind. There is not denim jeans allowed at any time of an evening in the dining room. So dockers, polo shirts, things of that nature for men. For women, you can get by with a little bit more. You can do pantsuits, dresses for formal nights. You're going to see a lot of slacks. I have seen some dressy capri outfits on the nights that are not formal. Smart casual is what they call it. Again, no flip flops, but you can usually get by with sandals if you were to do that on a casual night or with a dressy outfit on formal nights. There are wash machines in laundry rooms on board, and pretty much those are on every deck. So if you need to do some laundry, they are coin operated. I believe you can purchase soap on board in the laundry room to do laundry if you need to. You can kind of get by with wearing things again if you need to. I personally have not ever done laundry on board, so I'm not quite sure as far as crowds, but I do know that if you need to press anything, it's a good thing to plan either on a morning or a time other than the day of a formal night, because it seems like on when there's a formal night, you're going to see a lot of people in there trying to press some laundry. Due to fire codes, you're not allowed to have travel irons or anything like that in your cabins. You must go to the laundry room to do those types of things. Because of the itinerary that you're doing, that you're going to be departing the United States but returning to Canada, a passport booklet is required. And we have told you that several times throughout the trip, but that is very important. And so do be sure that you have that actually with you and keep it with you the days that you're traveling. There is a safe in each cabin so that throughout the trip, when you're not needing to carry it, you can lock that in the safe so that you're not carrying it around. Throughout the trip, you are within the United States until you arrive back in Canada, and virtually then you're just going to be transiting. So you will not have to worry about any Canadian money. If you needed to purchase lunch or something in the airport, you can easily use a credit card, because I do know that most of those places are going to want Canadian money if you try to purchase lunch, but a credit card will work fine. In the accommodations while you're on land, you're going to find that the curtains are lined so that you can pull those to darken your room. You're going to be going to Alaska at a point in time that they have long hours of daylight. And just yesterday, someone said, well, do the rooms get dark? Because it's still going to be very light outside when they need to go to bed of the night. And so you can usually pull the drapes and be fine. If you really have trouble sleeping, if there's any light whatsoever, you might want to bring covering for your eyes to put on at night if that's an issue. Sometimes for people it is. You're going to be in the States, and so there's kind of a probably not an issue with credit cards as to which credit card is accepted, because in the United States, pretty much they will take Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, and then there's kind of, depending on your company, as to whether or not you need to notify them that you're going to be traveling. I have a lot of people, when I say you need to tell them, contact me and say, no, you don't need to anymore. My credit card company does still want to know, even when I'm traveling, even not that far. I don't, like for a short trip to Kansas City or something, but I traveled to Kentucky to the Smoky Mountains this spring and called and asked them if I needed to file a travel alert, and they said yes, absolutely. That was out of my normal range. And so If in doubt, I would contact your company. On board the ship, the plug-ins are the same that we have here for 110, so no adapters, no converters are necessary. If you have a sleep apnea machine, I would suggest that you take an extension cord. Where the plugins are sometimes not necessarily close. They might be across the room from the beds, so it would be a good idea to be prepared again with a extension cord. If you need distilled water for a sleep apnea machine, please do let our team know so that we can request that from the cruise line for you. So again, after thinking through all these things, do let us know if there's questions about any of that. Gratuities on board the ship are included as part of your cruise package, so you won't worry about having to be charged for gratuities on board. Unlike many tour companies, Please Go Away Tours hosts and hostesses do not expect nor do they accept a gratuity. So that's a big benefit and savings over what many companies expect when they send you with a host or hostess. There may be a few step-on guides that you have when you're doing some of your touring, especially once you're on the boat. There will be your included excursions and there will be guides, and certainly feel free to give a gratuity to the driver and or that person who does the tour for you. And that is kind of based upon the level of service that they provide as well as the length of time. And if you have any questions about who that would be or the amounts, you can visit with Mary and she can give you some guidelines. A memo went out last week or earlier this week. My days kind of all run together. That was strictly about the new medallion class. During the pandemic, Princess spent that time when the boats couldn't sail and updated all of their boats to be medallion class. A lot of benefits to having this, and we have ordered, as the memo indicated, so that you should receive at your home address a medallion. And it's about the size of a quarter, and it will look like this. It comes with a lanyard so that you can put that around your neck if you want. Probably even if you put it in a pocket, I would attach the lanyard because it is very small and could be easily lost. It's really good in that it will open your door. So if you go to your cabin and if you've got your hands full, or even if you don't, you get near, your door will just pop open and you don't have to worry about finding your key or card to open the door. So there are quite a few benefits. One of the things that is causing a little bit more concern is the fact that things that we used to provide to the cruise line for everyone, we can no longer do that. This includes several things. It includes your passport information. So if you have not, you need to immediately or at your very first opportunity, it's very important that you follow the instructions and download the app onto your smartphone. And there's directions as to the app, whether you have an Android or an iPhone. But do that, and truly we've given you some pointers, and you just have to kind of play around with it and see what's there and work your way through. We're happy to help you. So if you have questions or you have problems, please do give us a call and we'll do our best to walk you through it. A couple of pointers that we have found is, first of all, if you have Wi-Fi access, it seems to make the downloading of information and uploading of what needs to be done a little bit faster without as many problems. So if you can do it at home when you can sign into Wi-Fi, that's great. Also, we have kind of found that sometimes the earlier in a morning or maybe even later at night when there's not as many people trying to use the applications, that sometimes will help too if you're having problems. And by problems, it's like I know at one point when I was trying to do one for a cruise I'm going to be doing, the little working thing would just kind of circle a little bit longer. And I found that with Wi-Fi, it was much, much faster and took very little time at all. So some of the things that you need to do that are very important are your passport. And you'll go to the travel checklist and I would suggest just kind of work your way down that list. It will ask you for your passport, and then you will put your phone over it, and once it's centered on it, take a picture, and then it will upload. You need to do that for your passport. You need to do that for your vaccination certificate, and you also will need to do that for your pre-travel COVID test. So you can go through everything and it'll come up when you've answered the correct amount of information that must be done at this time. It will say that you're in the green lane. And then the only thing that you must do closer to departure would be to answer the health questions, and it's the standard. Do you have a cough? Do you have a temperature? Have you been exposed to COVID? Kind of goes through the basic symptoms. And then at that time, within the allotted time, depending on which test you get for COVID, then you will also need to upload that negative COVID test. Now, we've also had the question come up, can I have such and such a test? There will be a memo that will be coming, or you will have, because this will be part of it, that is going to reiterate and give you the most current COVID testing regulations for pre-testing, and it will tell you based upon the type of test that you get as to how many days prior to departure that you need to be tested. So once you have that, what I would suggest you do, once you have that memo in hand, I would take that with you and show to the person that's going to do your test. So some of the places that we have found that are very good and get them back, so do be sure that they can get it back to you in that time frame, and be sure that they can get you the test back, and be sure you schedule ahead. A lot of Walgreens, CVS's have been really good with testing in the majority of the areas in Kansas City, Wichita, and around our area. They've been really good to do the test and get them back in the proper time. But show them what is required and reconfirm with them that they are providing what is requested in the way of if you're doing an antigen, and whether it's a NAT test or it's an antigen and PCR and all those different kinds of tests that are available. So just take that and let the person providing it reconfirm with you that they're meeting the requirements as listed. And again, if you have any questions that we can answer for you, please do not hesitate to let us know. So with any questions, you can always contact us by calling Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, 1-800-362-9347. You can also always email us at answers@travelpleasegoaway.com. and we will get back to you with answers or provide directions to where you can get those answers. Thank you and have a wonderful trip.